All right, hello. How's everyone doing? Yeah. So today I'm going to continue working on this like very public data set. So hopefully I am not in trouble. Summer on Saturn. It's nice to see you again. Um, yeah. So let me know first off if the music is too loud. I'll be completely honest. I'm actually listening to podcasts too, but I figured it would be nice to have some music on the background while I'm working. Um, yeah. So if you didn't catch the stream last week, so what I am doing is I'm going to switch over to my laptop for one. I'm going to go through a super public data set, so hopefully I won't get in trouble. I had a little bit of a scare last week because my internet randomly stopped working, and I thought that I ran into an IT problem. And really, it was just purely my internet stopped working. I was like, oh no, I'm in trouble. Oh no. But, like, I don't know. It's all super public data. You can download it from. I was double checking why my Jupyter wasn't working Visual Studio Code. So it was in cms.gov, CMS 5-star rating system. Um, so the data I'm looking at is here. I will share this in chat. Um, and what you want to do is grab this thing. Oh, hey, this updated. Cool. Okay, so I'm grabbing data from here. And you can process it yourself. It will take a while. I'll be completely honest with you because it's like 500 megs. Actually, I'm just going to download it. It's 500 megs, and then you have to aggregate it all into like a big file. It's like 1.8 gigs. It's got to be more now. Not it's a different month. So yeah, cool. All right, we're making progress. I guess. So what happened last week? I ran it in a pure Jupyter Lab server. Double check something. Why isn't it downloading? Uh, Super weird. Just download it. Cool. I don't know why it wasn't working before. Um, yeah, so last week I ran in a actual Jupyter Lab Jupyter notebook. This week, don't really need to do that. I think I still no, I shut down the Jupyter server. I'm just gonna run in Visual Studio Code, and there's actually a really good reason for doing that. After I wrote the code last week, it turns out that just to train the model takes forever. So we can look through my old code in a second. Where's the cursor? There we go. So here we go. I'm not super familiar with running Jupyter notebooks inside the Visual Studio Code, so forgive me because it's been a while since I've done this. But in the past, I was taking notes on like what are the resources for code, what are the resources for data, and then I added a few things like we're doing Spacey and scikit-learn, which I'll talk about in a second. Now I'm trying to incorporate ML flow, and also we're gonna have to do data version control. And we are also going to look at this person's video for references later. So trying to integrate data version control, integrate DVC, ML flow, and I guess Git all together. Yeah, so if you don't know Databricks, they usually provide quite a few resources for teaching these things, and I think they're really helpful. The people behind Databricks, like the founders, actually made, I believe, Spark. So pretty useful stuff for handling data at scale. But what we did last time is we basically imported a bunch of libraries, so that meant installing things like NLTK, Spacey, and then GenSim, and just getting them ready. Wrote some helper functions to handle some of the data, and then now this is new, trying to productionize this a little bit and put it in a separate script instead of just all in blocks in this Jupyter notebook. So some of the things that I looked at before, oh, well, okay, we'll get there. So imported the data, tried to look at it. So again, it's all public data, nothing public here or private here. You can actually just look up all these things. And when you download that file and investigate yourself, you'll see these as well. And I was looking for specific terms that were interesting, just looking at the free text in general as to what's in each of these records, and then processing them via a few steps. So first thing was using regex to process basically getting rid of these, like this whole note terms and brackets of an editor to protect confidentiality, and getting rid of this line break thing. Never figured out why there's like a line break like HTML flag or tag in here. Doesn't make any sense. Stuff I can actually, now that I'm talking about it, I can actually bring it up with our people who clean this data for us, because I just don't know why that's there. It just makes people's lives harder. So doing that cleans up the beginning. We do still end up with this like break character or break substring whenever the report doesn't start with this like ** note. So had to add another thing that basically just replaces that, and then stored it in this flat inspection text column. And the reason why I wanted it to be flat, I honestly didn't know. I couldn't tell because each of these inspections might have the breaks seem to denote separate incidences. So I wasn't sure if they should be processed as one big string or a list of strings. So I decided to, leave the raw text as it is, and then make a separate column that has the flat inspection text, and then also make a separate text that, or separate column that does process them as lists of strings. So whether or not that's a good thing, we'll see, but this seems like the most kind of stable way. You don't have to keep expanding the data frame in case there's additional entries per record. And this also required some regex, and then also I had to use that helper function I defined up above. So I actually tested all this out locally and then wrote it into a helper function just to tidy things up a little bit. Called that helper function with a lambda function within apply on stir.replace, and then even the entry itself just splitting. So we'll go over what this does. Basically, from the inside, we'll start from the outside. We want to make a new column where the entries are based off of records already in an existing column. So go through those, use the string method, and use the string class and its replace method to do a regex replace, where basically all this like junk in the beginning gets dropped. On that string, apply this lambda function, which is to take the string inside, split it according to all of these BR breaks, which forces the string to become a list. And then there are going to be empty strings in that list for whatever reason. Based off of how it just split, I sometimes ended up with like leading and trailing just literal empty spaces. So we don't want those, so that's why the remove empties is there. And you may be wondering why I don't just do a replace. And the reason is because if you do a list, Python lists replace method, if it can't find the thing that you're looking for, it returns nothing and just gives you an error. So this remove empties, if you go back up, you'll actually see that it tries to factor in, like, just try to filter it out. If there isn't anything, then just ignore it. Yeah. So, oh, right. No, actually, that's not right. I used to do replace. Replace is causing problems, and then I just replaced it with the filter function. But then the filter function had to be converted to a list. So, yeah. Yeah. So that was all that. And then this makes this like list of strings. And then I wanted to see how successful that was. And you can see here it worked okay. Yeah. And just, I knew this number based off of how it showed here was a problem. You can see here, there's a line break substring in the beginning. And after processing, it turned out to be fine. Yeah. So I wanted to see some basic information on the data that's in here. So looking at the column titles, we can see like, oh, there's facility names, facility IDs, addresses, cities, state, et cetera, et cetera. When we import this data, I put a flag saying inspection date should be kept as date times because that I figured would be useful for later. These deficiency tags are found out at work that these are actually technically wrong, but we'll keep them as they are. The reason why they're technically wrong is that I don't think this should be a 0. It should actually be something else, but whatever, we'll deal with that later. But because they have a leading 0, they have to be kept as strings. Otherwise, if they're imported as numeric values, they become 3-digit numbers, which is wrong. And then this is fine. The scope severity kept as these are categorical. So later on, I'll have to process these as categorical and possibly ordinal data. But right now, we'll just leave it as strings. Complaint, standard, infection control. I believe these are supposed to be Booleans. I haven't actually investigated much on these just because I wanted to try to process the data first. And then the event ID should be kind of semi-unique, kind of lumping together a bunch of these things all together. So based off of this, we know that there's like inspection date, deficiency tag, and scope severity are things that could possibly be investigated further. So I just said, just describe this information to me and let me know what it shows. I'm realizing now you can't. Part of the reason why I did the inspection date is by giving it a date time, it means you can actually do like this sort of numerical analysis where it's like, give me the count, number of uniques, most frequent with its frequency, and then like earliest and latest entries. With deficiency tag, you can't really do that as much. I think if this is all numerical, this may actually give me quartiles, which would be kind of interesting because as you can see, the data is like super heavily skewed. So this is for the deficiency tag. I wanted to see like, what does it look like? What does it look like among all of these tags? And I should have paid more attention and seen this 368 because this 300, these are all 368 tags. So obviously this is not readable by a human, all these entries here, but we can see that quite a few of these do show up like tons of times, and it is heavily skewed. More important probably, and then like we have a few that only show up once, quite a few. More importantly, I'd say are the severities. And the severities, you can also Google this, but I honestly don't remember where this is. So I found like an open tab explaining the severities, and I was like, cool, don't lose that. You'll need it. And then I kind of closed it. Yeah, silly stuff. But with the scope severity, also skewed, right? So we've got, this should be shifted in the center. So D is by far the most common, then everything else, like, I guess like bimodal, if you ignore D. And then I just wanted to do a count of, how many there are. And obviously we want like the more extreme ones. So it starts at, should have started at A and it goes all the way up to L. The higher the letter in the alphabet, the more severe it is. And it would be better to have less of that. Yeah. So, these are all things I want to investigate later. So like some of my questions, and we'll actually go over this because not all of data science is like messing around with tools. Some of it's actually just what questions are you trying to answer, right? And let me actually start writing some of these down. Do a little detour, sorry. Is there a more common time? So we'll go over one of my business questions or questions to investigate, which is, are there more common times where these incidents happen? So are surveyors, for example, basically all just going at regular times? Because I think that's bad. If the surveyor is if they reliably show up at certain times to do their inspections, then that's like an easy way to game the system, is clean up all your messes before the surveyors show up, and then all of a sudden you don't have any problems. Um, are there more common times? Common or predictable times for when the surveyors perform inspections / generate reports. Yeah, so after doing this like really basic kind of statistical looks, we're looking at tokenizing the text inside the free text to actually do some NLP, natural language processing. And that's part of why I thought this project was cool, just because, this is a definite like really modern thing that right now we don't really have at Medicare. And we've got 370,000 inspections. There's no way someone's going to read all of them. Yeah. So basically, I said to go back into this data frame, then extract all the values from the flat inspections, and then convert it to a list, because it's going to give it back as a pandas series. So I wanted to make sure it works okay. So give me the first two elements, 0, 1, ignore 2, that you never ignore that. You never use the last index. So we've got a bunch of free text here, as you can see. That's the first entry, and then this is the second entry. This made me ask, like, well, how many of these reports do we have? What's the longest and shortest? What's the average amount? So I wrote this here. Basically, it will go through, get the length of each of these texts in here, not just 0 to 2, and then tell me like how many words there are, and what are the averages. I just kept it running. I used a list comprehension to keep track of all the lengths of the reports, and we found 370,000, give or take, reports. About 742 words per report, longest one being almost 6,000, shortest one being 4. So for the shortest ones, I was like, well, if there's a lot of these, this is a problem, because you can't do meaningful analysis on 4 words, right? And if there were a lot of them, it would basically skew the analysis. Luckily, of the 370,000, there are only 314. So, less than, that's like 0.1%, I believe. So it's like, all right, we'll just go with that. We'll just ignore it. Probably deal with this later. Because this is redacted data, I think the 314 deals with the fact that those reports were too heavily redacted. When I looked at earlier, it said something like report is available. So obviously like not helpful for this type of analysis quite yet. But once I get the raw database access, which I probably can't stream because there's so much private information in there, then these should basically all go away. I then said, hey, go get the longest report, and or the length of the longest report, and then tell me, how many there are. And luckily, there's only one that's like, 6,000 words, so pretty intense, but that should be manageable. I then said, well, okay, we know the average, we know the longest and the shortest. Why don't you tell me how many there are among all the, make a histogram showing lengths of the words. And also, as you can see here, it's heavily skewed. So basically, like, most of the reports are like, if you did a median, it's probably like 1,000 words or less, right? Like, this is probably still even more than half of them. So most are going to be 1,000 words is like what? One page, I think when I was in college or high school, I can't remember. One page is like 150 words. So yeah, these reports get kind of long. And then this is the part where it gets long. I wanted to do, this NLP analysis, and the tool I decided to use was Spacey, because it's supposed to be, production ready, quote their literature. And yeah, so I said, go inside the total text. Oh, also we're using this module TQDM because it generates progress bars. So the first time I ran this on like smaller sets, I didn't know what was going on. I would just see this like kernel is thinking indicator and then no progress bar. So installed TQDM to actually see like, hey, where are you in the workflow? And I ran this over the weekend. So I did like a rough model on Thursday, and then Friday I said just run it. And basically what's going on here is go into this total text, and then for each text in there, you want to split it so that like it's each word inside that string or inside the document. You basically just lowercase all of it, and then grab the token, and then grab the lemma for the token. I don't care about the actual text. I just want the lemma. With the restriction being, don't use it if the lemma is actually in stop words. Don't only use it if the token is letters, like a word, because I kept getting like numbers. And then this actually might change because it could be useful later. Say we're trying to find if like doctors are over prescribing drugs to patients, then like we would need to know how much, maybe. And then don't use the token if the lemma is regarded as a pronoun. And then make sure that the token's lemma is greater than 1. When I was looking earlier, I had issues with like apostrophe S. The apostrophe would get stripped, and then the S would remain. And like a single S character is not useful. So I just said like just get rid of those. You may be wondering why I'm using like pronoun. And it's because for some strange reason, when I was running this, like I was like, just give me nouns and don't give me the pronouns, and don't give me stop words. And I kept getting stop words that were pronouns just kept showing up. I don't know why. So this like double condition helped get rid of them. And you can see here, it took like 65 hours. And it was quite a surprise because when I ran it on Friday, it said it should only take about 17 hours. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, it's Friday, so I'll just let it run and I'll just deal with it in the morning. I get a model to work with. Monday morning. Monday when I logged in, it was still running and I went, crap, I have to go to work. And this is definitely slowing down my computer. So yeah, eventually it did successfully complete, and then I stored the lemmas, this list of lists, into a Gensum dictionary, and then made a corpus by using the doc to bag of words for all those lemmas, and processed that into a topic model. So the problem that we have is that I initially ran it with 20 because that was a default that Gensum used, and I just figured I don't know what's in here. There's 370 tags, maybe 20 topics is correct, so I just let it run. Running this model didn't take too long, and it gave me basically gave me this huge list of topics, and I used a latent Dirichlet. I forgot what the A is. It's going to be like algorithm or something. I used that model, the LDA model, to basically just try to extract some topics, and showed it to my coworkers and the person who's managing this project on my side. And we came up with like a list of stop words. So like resident, staff, facility, like those probably aren't all that important, especially since they keep showing up. So it doesn't, well, not that they're not important. They just don't really help us learn anything about what the topic is because residents gets written up so many times in the forms. So decided to keep a running list of stop words to add to the default stop list from Spacey, and then trying to see if we can figure out some sort of model, some sort of topic that these groupings can show. So here, I mean, this kind of sounds like maybe there's like a data planning or date planning. It's not clear immediately. This one looks like taking care of wounds. This one looks like trying to administer, like trying to do the medication correctly. This might have to change administration. Um, this one, I guess I'm not sure, like reviewing patient records. Uh, and then similar with this one, not similar, trying to handle infection control maybe. And yeah, so you can see with 20, it starts being like, this looks like hygiene. Um, with 20, it starts being a little confusing because it's unclear, like maybe this is too many, because they overlap like maybe a little too much. Yeah, so I was asked to remodel this with the fewer number, anywhere from like 8 to 12, 8 to 10, and I just said, oh, screw it. This didn't take a long time. I'll just do, I'll do 5, 8, 10, 12, 15, 20. So I ran that, and then am able to get similar models here. It does look like it kind of caps off in usefulness at like 10, but yeah, still plenty to investigate. The issue is that in order to train the corpora, you have to save all these like words as tokens. And that part takes a really long time because Spacey has to go through and process like each of the words inside all of these things. As you can see, it took that 65 hours. And when I saved these things, I used the wrong code to save it. So instead of save corpus, I actually serialize, and it saved it in a format that like I can't see how to reuse it. When I tried to load it into the corpus again, it gave me an error. The other issue is if I'm tweaking these models, it would actually be really nice to factor in some sort of way to like keep version control and all that kind of stuff going. So that's why we've kind of stopped on this, because now I get to figure out things like how to integrate model versioning, data versioning. As you can see, like already I downloaded my data last week, and already there's a new version from June. And also, so data versioning, model versioning, and then also code versioning, which is really easy because it uses GitHub. Now, I may run this again, but if I run it again, I'm going to get a completely different set of models compared to last time, because I changed the stop words, and I also want to incorporate n-grams, so bigrams or trigrams, right? Before, I was just using bag words and I did LDA. I would like to add combinations of words as tokens to see if we can also generate some more, context for this stuff. So I'm not running anything right now, and it's because if I do shift enter on this cell, so by the time it gets here, I basically won't have my computer for the entire weekend. So I figured now is a really good time to actually go through the documentation for like MLflow and DVC, and just start setting things up so that like I can actually start tracking these things, because I don't want to keep working on these things and then it changes, and then down the road it becomes way harder to actually like log all the models and stuff. So if you don't know what like MLflow and stuff are, we'll go back up. So MLflow is honestly the more interesting one for me, and I think what's also interesting is we're running into issues with this, like, where's the data, the raw data, and how do I make it so that people who are interested can see what I'm doing in terms of code, and make sure I'm on the straight and narrow. And if we want to preserve these models, what are the best ways to do it? And it turns out like basically no one is doing this at CMS, so it's really hard, right? Like no one has an answer for me. We're also kind of, I'll be completely honest, we're kind of lacking some of the infrastructure needed to do these things. So currently it looks like I'm going to install MLflow and data version control and just do everything locally, and then down the road figure out a way to just migrate all the local stuff onto cloud compute. And I think I don't have a choice, right? Because if I don't do that, then I don't keep working. So yeah, this is like a really great opportunity for me to actually learn DVC, MLflow, and Git. So I'm really excited. However, most of my days, the past like 1 or 2 days, upon realizing that like not everything is lining up in terms of infrastructure and capability, it's just reading documentation. So it's not exactly the most exciting stuff, but yeah. So I guess before I start getting into the like the nitty gritty of like technical details, I want to point out that like data scientists, we don't, it's really exciting to work on these with these new tools. Sometimes more frustrating than exciting. Like ML flow and data version control, I think are like cutting edge stuff. Um, I could be, I'm probably totally wrong on that. But one thing to remember is like it's not just the tools; it's also like what is the data and what are you asking of the data. You know, um, so given that our data looks like this. I had questions. I and my team had questions on like, what are people trying to extract from this? Like, what do they want out of making all these reports? Um, we could do things like, I mean, we could look at when inspections are happening. We can look at, and that's really easy. It turns out that's like just an extract ETL job, extract, transform, load. So that's not hard. Um, we can look at how many deficiency tags are showing up and how often. And then looking at the scope, the severity. Now, questions I had, but like those you don't need NLP for those things. And then in this inspection text, is it worth it to actually do an NLP thing if it turns out that like there are no questions that can be answered by having a machine learning model? So some of the things that we can try to do, for example, is process all the text and then get a thing that predicts a severity of scope. But in order for that to happen better, these have to be very consistently weighed. And in talking to the stakeholders involved, it sounds like this is not a guarantee. Like this labeled category may not be labeled consistently or correctly. So, that is a problem because now we can't trust our ground truth. And then with these deficiency tags, maybe we would better be able to answer and address these deficiency tags if the topics were reduced. But we don't know if it's a good idea exactly to like have an ML black box essentially come up with the groupings for us. I think it'd be kind of interesting. I think it would also be interesting to see, and we had talked about this as a team, see what the overlap is between different categories. Yeah, but again, like some of these things, like, is it worth it as a business owner, or in diverting resources like people, cloud compute, etc.? Is it worth it for someone to be pursuing these projects? Um, so what I've been doing in addition to try to install this, look up this infrastructure and region documentation, is basically just compiling a bunch of questions that people had asked me to find out in the data and trying to answer them as best as I can, and then trying to determine, what are the things that we can actually do with this information that we're given. So that's the stuff that's not actually coding, right? That's it's hard work. Maybe requires a little bit of mind reading, but I think it's really helpful and it helps direct the effort. Like you don't want to invest a ton of time in something and it turns out like you can't even do it anyway. Other projects I've been on, actually here, we had that problem. It was basically people thought that I could do magic, and I can't. So really kind of had to gently let down their expectations. So yeah. As it is now, there are questions about trying to address specificity and the extent of the topic models, or is there a way to extract topic models? I think it'd also be interesting when we get the raw data to see like, is there some sort of, can we find a topic coherence? So are people like writing these things like consistently between surveyors? Because if they're not, then like maybe that means we have to go back and train some of the staff doing the surveys. Yeah. And if there are things that like there are questions on, depending on the tag and the topic involved, can we deploy resources to assist some of these nursing homes with things that maybe they're not doing so hot on. So yeah, it's been pretty interesting, just trying to work with this data. Yeah. Otherwise, like, honestly, I don't know what else there is to talk about. I'm going to dig in through code. I don't know if that's a most exciting stream, because I'm going to be reading documentation, and maybe this isn't a thing that people want to see on stream. I'm probably going to watch some tutorial videos as well from people who use this stuff in the field. And I think officially I can't share that stuff with you because it's like from another website. Not because it's private, but because it's, I think Twitch, the terms say that you cannot just like share stuff from another website. So all the streamers that like share YouTube videos, like, or watch YouTube videos on streams, they're like, technically causing a little bit of trouble, but whatever, it's fine. Yeah. So, I'm going to start writing some, ML code stuff, ML flow stuff, my bad. So, where is it? This, basically I'm going to also start looking at trying to incorporate some of these things. I don't need most of this. I have this like tutorial open because, oh, that's right. Yes. So, when I did the original model, I did it in Gensim because that is, why doesn't this drag? Man, I do not like Mac OS. Oh my God. It's so shockingly inconsistent. So when I originally did this model, I did it in Gensim, because it's supposed to be one of the best, like, especially for topic modeling, is one of the best libraries to do it. It turns out Gensim doesn't play very nicely with MLflow because of how MLflow tries to call towards its external libraries. MLflow works fine with Spacey, so that's great, but there is no plugin essentially to let MLflow and Gensim work together. So my current approach right now is to refactor my code so that I basically still pre-process the data in Spacey, and then I take those tokens and stuff, and then pipe them through scikit-learn, and I can use scikit-learn's pipeline method to add bigrams and trigrams, and then do some modeling. And if there's something that's more specific that isn't in scikit-learn, I can export those matrices and stuff into Gensim and then run it. I don't know how to address, if I do that in Gensim, how I can preserve the model, but at least I can preserve the steps leading up to it. But with scikit-learn, it looks like I can just preserve like pretty much as I go on. So I'm just gonna switch to that. It kind of sucks. Like I was reading all that stuff about Gensim, and it was stuff I was more familiar with anyway. And there are some really cool features in Gensim that make it seem like it will be attractive in the future. But like I gotta get work done, and that seems like piping it to scikit-learn is gonna be the way to go. So this tutorial I've got is doing almost exactly what I said, is like let Spacey do the pre-processing and then pipe it into scikit-learn. Yeah. So I'll be doing that in MLflow for, I don't know, I guess the rest of the day and rest of tomorrow. Now for the stream, I don't know. I can just work, and then if people have any questions, you can just feel free to ask. And in the meantime, then I guess I'll just leave the Spotify running so you can hear. Yeah. I couldn't see the bars for the sound, so I didn't realize, like, I'm sorry for headphones if they just got completely blown out. Yeah, I just switched one audio source and all of a sudden it was like really loud. So yeah, I will just let this go now. And yeah, I'll keep an eye on chat, so let me know if you got any questions. Oh, actually, now I think is a good time for me to take a break. I am going to go get some water. I thought I had some available, and I totally didn't. So yeah, I'll be right back.
Spotifyers. Click or tap the banner to listen to Summer Party. That sound of summer. Brought to you by your friends at Smirnoff Pink Lemonade. Get your pink on.
The annual purge has been extended.
It's the real purge. The forever purge.
All rules no longer apply.
The purge is over, please!
All crime is now legal. Forever.
Everybody hear the sirens?
Thank you for your participation.
This Friday,
They're coming.
the rules are broken. The Forever Purge. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. Don't look back and wish that you had taken action. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Hey Spotifyers, click or tap the banner to listen to Deep Focus. Keep calm and focus with ambient and post-rock music. Brought to you by your friends at Staples Connect, the working and learning store.
and I realized when I came back from break, I didn't unmute my microphone. So we'll explain what's going on. I am trying to conda forge, conda install DVC because I'm gonna need it for my next step. Because I need DVC and because I need ML Flow, I'm going to look at a example workflow that incorporates both so that I can keep doing this stuff in the future. But because I'm looking at an example workflow, it's not going to be too exciting. I can't run anything locally right now because if I do, I'm going to have to run it all over again with the logging enabled in ML Flow. So for now, I'm going to go through an example tutorial that incorporates both DVC and ML Flow, and that way I can apply them here. And then basically it's just me refactoring code. In the meantime, I'm going to let Spotify run, and I'm going to watch this tutorial. And if you have any questions, just throw them in chat. I will be here. I'm just working for a little bit longer. Like, technically was off the clock like maybe 30 minutes ago, but I don't know. I get to learn new tools. It's super hot outside. It's also quite hot indoors in my room right now. And if I work longer today, maybe I can take more time off tomorrow, and then have a little bit of a longer weekend. So I'll be here. Just if you have any questions, just send them in chat.
Hey Spotifyers, click or tap the banner to listen to Summer Party, that sound of summer. Brought to you by your friends at Smirnoff Pink Lemonade. Get your pink on.
The other day, I heard an ad for Shane Company on the radio. This guy again? But Tom Shane does make a good point. Fine jewelry lets the people in our life know how much they mean to us. That's when I decided to get my wife bigger diamond stud earrings. At Shane Company, you can upgrade your diamond studs anytime, and you only have to pay the difference from what you originally paid. She was thrilled with the gift, and it was so fun to surprise her.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
The annual purge has been extended.
Is the real purge. The forever purge.
All rules no longer apply.
The purge is over, please!
All crime is now legal. Forever.
Somebody hear the sirens?
Thank you for your participation.
This Friday,
They're coming.
the rules are broken. The forever purge. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
Hey Spotifyers, click or tap the banner to listen to Have a Great Day. Feel great with these timelessly fun songs. Brought to you by your friends at Staples Connect, the working and learning store.
love listening to your favorite artists, and we love listening to you. So let's talk. Click now to take part in our short survey, and you could win a month of gloriously uninterrupted music with Spotify Premium. That means you can enjoy all your favorite artists ad-free. Sound good? Then all you need to do is hit the banner now for your chance to win.
Are you looking for a diamond engagement ring? Then you gotta come to Shane Company. We've heard from customers that it's slim pickings out there if you're looking for a diamond. At Shane Company, because we pay cash at the source and work with partners we've had for generations, we have more diamonds to choose from than anywhere else. Always natural, always conflict-free. Don't just settle for any diamond. Visit us at the store or shop online where shipping is fast and free.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
The Boss is back, baby!
This Friday, Boss Baby is coming to theaters.
Let's roll.
And streaming on Peacock the same day.
We need the best of the best for one last mission.
Baby Core wants to get the team back together, huh?
I work alone.
You two are brothers. What are you afraid of?
Sharks, getting shot in the head with an arrow, and the IRS. That's it.
The Boss Baby, family business, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. In theaters Friday and streaming the same day on Peacock. Go to bossbabymovie.com.
Okay, so just finished watching did I not put it in chat? Thought I did. Wow, I'm sorry about that. Just finished watching this. So that should be a helpful resource going ahead. Yeah, so basically the workflow is to have DVC installed and MLflow, and I don't know you could do this, but you can actually explicitly tag things in Git. So what Petra did in the video was she actually added the datasets into the Git repo and then tagged them in Git, but saved them actually in DVC. So they weren't going to be committed to Git or GitHub because Git has a probably pretty well-known like file size limit. So that way she could make changes via DVC and just preserve them in Git and DVC. And I also didn't know this, but once you've pushed your dataset to some other remote server, you can just delete it from your local computer, which is pretty great actually. It would save some space once I get cloud storage. Yeah, and then from that you can use DVC's API to actually extract relevant information and put it into MLflow into artifacts and log it that way. So that's actually really cool. Yeah, I wish there's something a little bit more integrated. I think there's a thing on Reddit that talked about it. Let me actually see. Reddit, I think it was machine learning. There's like a new package that like integrates it all together, and it was something that I thought was like really cool. Let me see.
Baby Core wants to get the team back together, huh?
I work alone.
You two are brothers. What are you afraid of?
Sharks, getting shot in the head with an arrow, and the IRS. That's
I'm trying to look for it right now.
Boss Baby, family business, rated PG, parental guidance suggested, and theaters Friday and streaming the same day on Peacock. Go to bossbabymovie.com.
Oh, cool. Hugging Face as an official course. That's cool.
In just 30 seconds? This isn't possible. Hey, I'm Billy from Twisted Tea. How can I explain that first sip of cold, smooth, real brewed tea? So
Still trying to find the actual thing.
Wait, what? We're almost out of time? Oh, shit. Twisted Tea, hard iced tea. Look for the bright yellow cans wherever you buy beer. Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
At Shane Company, it's easy.
Why don't as bad as it is, I think I'm gonna have to use Reddit search. Terrible.
And made with uncompromising standards. For your center stone, choose among the largest selection of
DVC.
natural diamonds and colorful gemstones. We have sapphires in over a dozen colors, and red rubies, as well as peach morganite and stunning aquamarine. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company.
Oh, it's a project. I don't think it's done yet. From the creators of Dag's Hub. This is cool. Alright, so if you're interested in the thing I'm looking at, this is Dag's Hub, which integrates MLflow and DVC. So I think this is really cool because it'd be nice to not have so many steps. Yeah, okay. I'm going to see if I can get this working too. All I want to do is have DVC and MLflow working. So yeah. Okay, so because I will show in just a second. Because Conda is still really struggling with installing this. I just I'm like, I don't know what to do. The thing I wanted to show was like getting DVC and stuff up and running, but it's failing. So I may just have to let that run like overnight and just deal with this tomorrow. So yeah, I think on that note, I am going to end stream and maybe just go for a walk or something. But yeah, so if you have any questions or if you want to talk about this project with me, like totally open to doing that. Especially honestly, if you are a U.S. citizen, this is a Medicare project, and I work for them, so it feels like you are entitled to hear a little bit about what is going on, as much as I can tell you. So yeah, okay, cool. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information. Well, you're watching either one of my streams, YouTube, Twitch. Or you can message me on LinkedIn. I should actually put that in stream next time. But yeah, cool. I will see you next week. All right. Have a nice day.